Manufacturing now is your own. Manufacturing? Phyllis let out a harsh, brittle laugh. Jack just shut down Jabot Collections. For 3 months. My division, my team, my work, gone. And don't pretend you didn't have a hand in this. You've been waiting for a chance to undermine me ever since I came back to Jabot. You couldn't stand to see me succeed, could you? You had to poison the well. Lily stood her ground, a pillar of icy composure against Phyllis's raging inferno. Your paranoid delusions are not my concern. My focus is on Chancellor Industries. I don't spend my days obsessing over your career, Phyllis. Perhaps if you focus less on conspiracies and more on competence, you wouldn't find yourself in these predictable situations. The barb hit its mark. Phyllis's composure, already paper-thin, shattered completely. You think you're so much better than everyone, don't you? Sitting in your ivory tower, judging the rest of us for actually having to fight for what we want. I have bled for my career. I have rebuilt myself from nothing more times than you can count. What have you ever done besides inherit your fortune and look down your nose at the people who actually built the city? I've managed to keep my dignity intact for a start, Lily shot back, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. Something you traded long ago for manipulation and melodrama. Your life is a constant cycle of destruction and victimhood. You don't build things, Phyllis, you break them. And then you have the audacity to cry foul when the pieces won't fit back together. The verbal sparring escalated, the insults becoming more personal, more vicious, digging up decades of shared history, betrayal, and mutual loathing. The genteel setting of the public park became a stark contrast to the ugliness unfolding within it. You destroyed my marriage to Billy, Lily accused, a raw wound ripped open. He was never yours to begin with. Phyllis screamed back. You've always been jealous of the fire I have, the passion you so clearly lack. It was then that the line was crossed. Fueled by a lifetime of resentment and the white-hot anger of her current professional annihilation, Phyllis lunged. It wasn't a calculated move. It was pure, unfiltered instinct. Her hand shoved hard against Lily's shoulders, sending the heiress stumbling backward, her expensive handbag flying from her grasp. For a split second, there was stunned silence. Then Lily's eyes, previously filled with icy contempt, ignited with a fury to match Phyllis's own. With a guttural cry of rage, she launched herself forward, her own hands coming up to grab handfuls of Phyllis's designer jacket. That's enough. The voice was a whip-crack of authority, cutting through the chaos. Kane, who had been watching the altercation with growing alarm, moved with a speed and decisiveness born of necessity. He inserted his body between the two warring women, his arms outstretched, creating a physical barrier. He caught Lily just as she was about to make contact again, his firm grip on her upper arms holding her back. Lily, stop. This is insane, he commanded, his gaze then snapping to Phyllis, who was still breathing heavily, her chest heaving with ragged breaths. Phyllis, back off. Now. The physical intervention was like a bucket of cold water. The fight seemed to drain out of both women almost instantly, replaced by a dawning horror at their public display. Lily straightened her blazer, her cheeks flushed with a mixture of anger and humiliation. Phyllis took a shaky step back, smoothing down her hair, her eyes darting around as if suddenly aware of the potential audience. She started it, Phyllis muttered, the childish retort sounding hollow even to her own ears. I don't care who started it, Kane said, his voice low and firm. It ends now. You are two of the most powerful women in Genoa City, and you're brawling in a public park like teenagers. Think of the press. Think of your companies. Think of your families, for God's sake. The mention of families seemed to hit a particular nerve for Lily. She thought of her children, of the legacy she was trying to build at Chancellor Industries. This spectacle was beneath her. She shot a final, searing look at Phyllis. This isn't over. You're right, Phyllis fired back, though the fire in her voice had banked to smoldering embers. It's not. With one last, contemptuous glare exchanged, the two women turned and stalked off in opposite directions, leaving Kane standing alone in the park, shaking his head at the tempestuous forces he had just barely managed to contain. The battle had been stopped, but the war was clearly far from over. Back at the Abbott mansion, the initial shock had given way to a grim, determined silence. Kyle had retreated to his office, no doubt to rage and plot his next move, while Phyllis had yet to return, her confrontation with Lily having provided a temporary, violent outlet for her frustrations. Jack stood alone by the large bay window, looking out over the manicured grounds. The weight of his decision was a heavy mantle on his shoulders. He knew the cost would be immense. He was risking the company's immediate future, his relationship with his son, and the loyalty of his most volatile executive. He could picture Victor Newman in his own office, a smug, victorious smile playing on his lips as he absorbed the news. Jack's shutdown would be seen as a sign of weakness, an admission of defeat. But beneath the doubt, a steely resolve began to harden. This wasn't just a business calculation, it was a matter of legacy. Jabot had become bloated, derivative, a shadow of the innovative powerhouse his father, John Abbott, had created. The Fresh Start line was a symptom of that disease. It was safe, it was market-tested, and it was utterly forgettable. Jack was not willing to preside over the slow, dignified decline of his family's empire. This 3-month hiatus was a Hail Mary, a desperate gambit to tear everything down to its foundations. He would assemble a small, trusted team, free from the corporate bureaucracy and the shadow of Newman, and he would demand the impossible, a product that would not just compete, but redefine the landscape. It was a risk that could bankrupt them, that could cement his reputation as a fool who gambled away his birthright. Yet, as he watched the first flurries of a premature December snow begin to dust the lawn, Jack felt a strange sense of calm. The die was cast. The machinery of Jabot Collections was grinding to a halt. The fight with Kyle was just the first of many. The public spectacle between Phyllis and Lily was merely a preview of the chaos to come. But in the silent, empty space he had just created, Jack Abbott saw not an ending, but a terrifying and necessary void, a blank canvas upon which the future of his company and his family would now have to be painted. The shutdown was not an end. It was an intermission, and when the curtain rose again in 3 months' time, Genoa City would witness either the glorious rebirth of an icon or its final, spectacular collapse.